Hi guys, welcome to season 3 of Redirection with Terri-Karelle, the podcast. I'm your host, Terri-Karelle. Did you miss me? Did you miss me as much as I missed you? Well, apparently, because everywhere I went, you guys threatened me. You're threatened that you're going to thump me in my back. You're going to thump me in my throat. You're asking me when we're going to start back. It's so good to be back on set. It is so good to have you. I'm so excited to reveal my guests every single week. Now, this podcast is brought to you by MasterCard in association with Heineken 00 and Toyota Jamaica. And I always have to shout out my partners, always have to thank them, because sometimes an undertaking like this isn't as simple as it looks. And so MasterCard always reminding us that, life is gonna life. Yeah, it's going to hit you with the adversity, the trials, the tribulations. But even in all of that, there are these priceless moments. What are they? And are we acknowledging them? Are we celebrating them? Heineken 00, same great taste, but, the zero alcohol, reminding us that, no, we can. We can do anything that we put our minds to. And Toyota Jamaica, of course, always making sure that this particular podcast is very inclusive with sign language, but changing Jamaica one hybrid at a time. And as a very proud Toyota ambassador who drives, Scarlett, a little red RAV4 hybrid, I can tell you that there is nothing like going into Toyota and having them have a hybrid, depending on whatever stage or phase you might be going through. Of course, commercial concepts. I mean, who else is going to do my production? Last season 2, I think there were just 4 cameras on set. We had a little sliding camera. All of a sudden, I come on set and I see 6 cameras because we're like, we got to go bigger, we got to go better. And we always want to deliver great production quality for you. Spaces joined us last year. So you guys remember in season 2, we added visuals. Spaces came back this year and just gave us this lovely space that everyone finds comfortable. To Brescia, beauty brands by MDS, always reminding us to be purposefully prepared, but to also take care of self as we navigate through this space. Just thank you for being amazing partners. And this year, drum roll, we have a brand new partner, First Heritage Cooperative Credit Union. Just reminding us that, anything that is going on, just make good dollars and cents, right? Make sure that you're focusing on how you plan to budget and how you're saving your money and how you are diverting your money for whatever your goals may be. So here's what I really want to tell you, because maybe you guys were not aware. Season 2, y'all came out and y'all supported me in a very big way. By the time we wrapped season 2, we had over 100,000 downloads, and that's because of those of you listening to the podcast across your preferred podcast channels. We had a 4.9 rating, which meant that many of you took the opportunity to rate the podcast and to leave your reviews and your comments, and that really helped the podcast to do even better. We showed up in 137 countries, making us the #1 podcast out of the Caribbean. Like, that is a big deal. And then when we looked on YouTube, it was the first time we were doing this thing on YouTube last season. We got over 150,000 views. You guys did that. And I want to thank you for appreciating the work that I do and the team does. Now, nothing changes. This year, Tony Aiken returned, sign language interpreter extraordinaire, because we want to make sure that even our deaf community picks up on all the nuggets and all the gems. So I think I covered all my bases. Go Shore Couriers. How could I forget? You are my favorite courier, always making sure that we get what needs to be gotten in a short period of time. We have a new website, redirectionpodcast.com, where you can get all the information on the podcast. And of course, again, if there is somebody who you believe has an amazing redirection story, don't hesitate to send us an email. And if you are sharing, liking, reposting, putting in stories, TikTok, Snapchat, all over the place, #TK Redirection. So you must be wondering, we started out with a bang for our first episode of season 2. So the question is, who is going to be the first guest on episode 1 of Redirection with Terri-Karelle? All I'm going to say is that she's an icon. She is a legend. She is a pioneer. She is the person who opened many doors for many other persons to come through. And she redefined an industry in a manner that had never been seen for Jamaica or the Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, in the redirection seat with Terri-Karelle, our first guest is the one, the only, Althea Laing. I'm going to try to be as calm as possible during this interview. But when I hear the name Althea Laing, I think of icon, I think of standard, I think of sophistication, I think of regality. So let me just start off by saying it is such an honor to have you in the redirection seat.
Thank you, but it is my pleasure because I was telling you earlier, I really, really, really love you. You have a special place in my heart. And those fabulous outfits. Ooh.
What is it? I love you too. And this is going to be very different in terms of the beginning, but what is it that you saw and see in me that would carve out a space in your heart?
Your personality. There was something special. When you have that it factor, it's just there. And persons who understand can easily identify it. The first time I met you, it was a smile, it was your humility, it was your authenticity, right? And authentic people come one in a million. So when you see somebody and say, there's something about that girl, I like her. And this is where you are in my heart. I've seen a lot of beauty queens in Jamaica who have come through. I've followed them, but there's something very special about you. I'm on your page. I'm over at LinkedIn. I'm everywhere you are.
It
Everywhere you
means
are. And it means a lot to me too.
it means a lot, especially considering for me you are more than a supermodel. You are more than an international supermodel, because I believe you have so many layers, and you shared those layers with people, locally, regionally, and internationally. And so when people hear the name Althea Laing, they automatically go to Essence, 1985, Covergirl. And for me, I actually want to take it back. I want to ask you where you're seated now, all the things that you have accomplished, the rooms that your name gets called in. Is this where you saw yourself as little Althea?
Little Althea, I grew up in Black River, and my father called me Star Girl.
Yes.
And somehow we need to be careful what we say because you have your daughter, you speak positive things, and the child actually starts believing it. Because I was the one in my family who was the darkest, so I kind of felt like, okay, I'm in the background, but Daddy always called me Star Girl. So I made my own space. I decided this is where I want to be. This is exactly how I'm going to do it. I want to be on stage. I want to be modeling. I want to be in the flower shows. And it just became a part of me. Plays, everything, everything, everything. JCDC, everything.
Talk to me about being the darkest, and how that would have been. By the way, in case you don't know, 68 and in case you're wondering what 68 and Fabulous looks like, I'm just Exhibit A. I can only imagine what it would have been like, growing up, simply because when I entered Miss Jamaica World in 2005, there were people who rooted for me. There were people who loved me. They loved what I represented, but they were concerned.
Right.
They were concerned because at the time they saw a dark girl, with natural hair, with an afro, and they just thought that's not the standard of beauty. Certainly not the standard of beauty that wins pageants. And this was in 2005. I'm picturing you growing up 50s, 60s, being the darkest, with beauty being defined as it was and still is. Even though Daddy was saying Star Girl, did people ever say things to you that you heard that really made you put pause sometimes?
Yes, I remember that's telling somebody last night that when we were at home, one day somebody came to the house because all of my siblings are lighter than I am. And I was inside a room. Everybody went out to meet her. And then I only heard her say, "Where's the little black one?" And I walked right out. In case she didn't think that I heard, I
Yes.
said, "Here I am. And here I will stay."
How
And I
old were
just,
you?
I was 9. But I was a feisty little one and I still are. I still am a feisty one, but I think my whole persona, because of how people saw me, I had to prove myself.
Yes.
And I just had to nurture the things inside of me that would make me stronger in order to deal with all that's out there. Even, when you get married to this man, and somewhere during the marriage, he takes up a little brown skinned woman, and you're no longer important. But we need to understand, turn your negatives into positives.
Yes.
Because when that transpired, I said, you know what? Watch me, watch my next move. And my next move was Miss Jamaica fashion model.
Talk to me about, so you are coming up, daddy is the man saying, yo, star girl, you're the best, you're the greatest, you
Yeah.
will be someone.
Yes.
And I know you speak fondly of your mom
Yes.
also being there. So you had two parents who were aligned where you
Yes.
were concerned.
Yes, they were.
You get to high school, and of course the drama and the with such a bold attitude. Did even your colleagues or your fellow
Schoolmate.
mates ever make you? She extra, yeah.
Yes,
She
yes,
not,
yes,
but she not go
yes,
sip, she
yes,
not
yes,
feel.
yes, yes, yes,
Talk
yes.
to me about navigating, because even now we have young girls and we do have viewers and listeners who are young women and even mature women who are still trying to maneuver people who will tell you shine your light but not so bright. How did you navigate that?
I went to Hampton, okay?
With the Hampton.
Yes, I'm a Hampton girl. No, at Hampton in the 60s, we had girls from Venezuela, Bahamas, the rich girls. They came to boarding school in Jamaica. So it was kind of tough being so dark skinned. They tried to put us through this whole thing of us having our hair, the hot comb story. I was one of the few girls who came out against it, who was put under the stairs, the cockroach corner, because I insisted that I need to wear my hair the way God blessed me.
Correct.
So when the principal told me that I needed to sort it out, I went upstairs and I put about 14 or 15 plaits in my hair, went up to the Nightingale dormitory, bought about 15 bows, and walked past her study and did the so she would see me. And she called me inside and she says, am I mad or are you bad? And I smiled. Then what happened after that, we were able to wear afros. Yeah,
Really?
but I didn't stay at Hampton after fifth form. I had to go to Excelsior because Excelsior was where I became the person that you see sitting before you
Really?
today.
What was it about Excelsior that helped to shape and mold the Althea Laing?
Excelsior celebrated me with all of my ills and all of my crazy personality. I was a phenomenon on campus.
Really?
Yeah, because they called me. They gave me a name too, Twiggy. And this was about the time when Twiggy was all that, the
The
model
model,
Twiggy, right?
absolutely.
So they again were sewing into me and making me understand. Listen to me, Terry, that boy, this girl, fabulous, and she nice, and Twiggy look at your hair and Twiggy look at your skin. And somehow in that little world at Excelsior,
Yes.
it created the Althea Laing that you see sitting before you today.
That is
I made my mark at Excelsior, although I was not there for my entire school time,
right.
but they embraced me.
And it's always so simple. The fact that you don't have to always be in a particular place for any extended period of time, as
Yes.
long as you have the right people going in the right direction, sowing the right seeds, and celebrating. You really realize that quality always trumps quantity in many respects.
Yes.
What I found fascinating about your transition into becoming the supermodel is the fact that it was a transition that happened maybe when you were what, 25?
Yes.
25, 26?
26, 27. Yeah.
Talk to me about what happens now after Excelsior has now kind of continued with the celebration of what your parents did for you. Now, what is the adolescent, the young Althea, like? What is she interested in, and what is she getting into?
I actually entered Miss St. Elizabeth Festival Queen at
Yes.
that point. I came second. I thought I should have won, but then, of course, I thought I should. And persons, yeah, and persons in the audience were like, "What happened?
Hello.
What happened?" But Saint Elizabeth, my little parish there, we like our little brown skin girls too. So somewhere along the line, I was entering, and my father was like, "You might not win because,
You
okay."
understand.
And I walked away with all of the major prizes that night, but I did not win, right? So to me, having won Miss
I
Jamaica
love the
Festival
fact you
Queen,
said to me having one.
so I moved on, and then I was doing some acting too. I acted, I'm an actress.
What?
Okay. So I did the pantomime one
Yes.
time, long time with Sheila and Reggie Carter. I got the lead role because I have a voice. They thought that I could sing, and
A lot of people think that I can sing as well. So a lot of people say, "Wow, you have that rasp.
yeah, you
There's
have
a
the
there's a
voice.
there's a depth to your voice." And they've even told me that there's a texture to my
You
voice.
have a
And they,
beautiful voice, so
thank you. And they
yes.
go Tony Braxton, Lauryn Hill, and I said, as a what? Maybe just to sound like them as a speaker, but
Yes.
certainly as a singer, I am no singer.
And
So
you would have the singer's persona, this fabulosity.
so did you have the singer's voice?
Yes, I did.
What? So you're a singer, you're actress, you're everything.
I'm an accomplished pianist too. A lot of Jamaicans don't know that. I went up to grade 5 Royal Schools of Music, which I did at Hampton because my father said I must be a black girl that has everything, equip me with everything that I need to take
Is
on the
well
world,
rounded
well-rounded,
and
right?
cultured. He wanted you to be exposed.
Right. So
Way ahead of his
I
time.
play the piano.
So pantomime. So you're saying, all right. So you're trying you're doing the
Yes, and I
pantomime.
went for the audition, and there were people like Buddy Puyat, Sheila Hill, Reggie Carter. Uh, who else can I remember right now? But anyway, what transpired was that I went to the audition on the whim of some of my friends, and
You got it.
I got the role. I got the lead juvenile role. One time, long time. And I remembered when I told them I was doing it, my father, he was so proud.
Yes.
So the opening night, everybody came and they were sitting in the audience. And when the show ended and we had a standing ovation, they were there to just enjoy it all,
Were
you
you
know?
were you nervous, even confident and bold and
Enough.
self-aware and the enough and the extra? There are still moments when
Get a little
we get a little
fearful.
bit nervous.
Yeah.
Like, did we bite off more than we could? Like,
Yeah, man, the
am I?
opening night. The opening night was that for me. I got so nervous backstage. Can I remember my lines? Can I remember the music? Can I remember the song? Can I remember where I'm supposed to,
Yes.
you know? And it was really, but once I got on stage, and you know what it's like. Once you
Yes.
get there and you break that
The
5 minutes, it's
energy.
like,
The
okay,
energy.
I'm here, and I'm taking up space, and it's critical. So I have been taking up space for the better part of my life.
Yes.
And I do think I have more space to take up.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, at 68, I see a lot of people folding up and saying, oh, and the married and the husband and the whatever. I am taking on the world. I have a
And
lot
living
of
your best
dreams.
life.
Yes, I have a lot of dreams. Terry, my greatest dream is to see the Jamaican education system embrace soft skills for the students, right? And what I see now on social media, I cringe. Where did we go
Wrong.
wrong?
I hear you speak and I understand exactly what you're saying, especially because I consider myself privileged to have been raised by my grandma, who is 92, Jeannie baby. And the things and apart from the fact that even in the 80s, the schools, the principles, the values, the foundations were just an extension of what was going on at home. So, if you did something wrong, the principal was there to put you in line. The teachers were there to put you in line. Even your fellow mates were there to say, are
Yes.
you crazy? And the soft skills that I use today that I think have actually provided more opportunities and have created more avenues for me to experience more, it's because of the social graces, the etiquette, it's respecting people's time. It's understanding how you engage people, how you respect people, how to be civil. Even if we have a disagreement, it does not have to come down to diminishing and debasing and berating. And you ask a very important question, which I've asked myself, where did
Did we
we
go wrong?
go wrong? When did discipline become something that we should scoff at? When did correcting people and holding people accountable, whether you are in authority or whether you're a student, when did we stop holding people accountable? When did we stop holding ourselves accountable?
Having worked in the education system, because I'm a teacher by profession, so I saw it firsthand. And I saw our students, no, between 78 when I started teaching at Wolmer's, and then years later when I went back into teaching, I was in a shocked state. But what I did was that I had my students realize that it is important for me to pour into their lives, whether they like it or not. So I'm walking on the corridor and you're going to bump me over. No. When a teacher walks on the corridor, you step aside and allow her to go. That is where we were taught. And slowly and surely, I saw it happening at Mayday High, which for me was really a wonderful experience. But when you say to you do a proposal, you send it to the government and say, this is the way how I feel. I think we need to have this student thing happening. They don't buy it. What happens? If you don't want to buy it here, I might get my big bite in Barbados. I might get my big bite in the Cayman Islands. I might get and some country who realizes the
That there's
importance
a
of it
value.
will realize the value and reach out to me. So as I say, what we need to understand in Terri is whatever it is that we have as our purpose, we can't afford these obstacles and hurdles to dim our light.
Correct.
We have to make it happen. And as long as I'm here breathing the air of life, I'm going to see a day when the Jamaican government, when the powers that be understand the importance of what I've been trying to say for the last 40 years. 40 years since I came back, right? And it appalls me.
How did you fall into teaching?
My
Because
parents, no, I'm alive.
teaching came before
For everything.
Correct. So I mean, you're this bubbly person. You're doing the pantomime, and you're trying your hand in the creative space. But then teaching,
Teaching is my
traditional
love.
profession. Why teaching?
I'm from a line of teachers on both sides. My mother on the Monteith side, on the Thompson side, my father, the Reynolds. I mean, my both of my parents, were principals of Black River Primary
Makes
School.
sense.
I went back to Black River Primary and also taught for 2 years because I thought I needed to do that. But teaching is what I love. You do everything else, but then that's
That's
my
the spark. That's the spark. When I look at bold women, I always have to ask about partners. I consider she just went.
Ooh, let me breathe.
I am extremely blessed, my goodness, to have a partner, to have a husband who.
Congratulations.
Thank
I was
you.
waiting for you to say that. The word husband. Love it. Congrats. You deserve it.
Thank
I
you.
was so happy when I saw the name change, but I didn't want to say anything.
You didn't want because of the lady you are, naturally. But it can be very hard to navigate this world when you are taught culturally and socially that the family is important, getting married is important, starting your family, working, getting the job and having that unit is important. But what they don't tell you about is when you are a go-getter, when you are bold, when you know who you are, when you know where you want to go, when you're not trying to put any limitations on yourself, nobody actually prepares you for the partner who is intimidated, who simply may want you to be beautiful, but just be quiet. The one who wants to compete. It is almost difficult to find partners who are like, you are amazing, you are a superstar. Whatever you want to do, I am going to be your ride or die. I am
Right.
going to support you. Where else can I help you? Do you need me to fill any gaps for you? And I'm so grateful that I have found that. I am sitting across from you and I'm going, you walk into a room and your presence alone without you even saying anything is felt. As you navigated as a young woman, you are a teacher, you're going through how marriage, you spoke about, you were married. What was that like?
That was a defining moment in my life, I would say, but I did not have a good marriage. You just said a while ago, you're bold, you're this, you're that. They can't. When you have a man or a husband or a partner in your life intimidated by you, what we're going to do? Intimidated by your very presence, but likes the fact that you might be attractive and whatever it is, and they can kind of show you off, but then at the same time, you must know your place. And that was the type of man I was married to. He was almost like a narcissist. So when I realized that I was losing myself, I had to stop teaching at one point.
Your love.
My love, I had to stop teaching. I had to stay home and take care of my son. And I was not the person who was going out with him to these social events, as the case might be, you know. And there comes a time in every woman's life when they must understand that if they're not being appreciated, they need to move on.
If you're not being valued.
Valued, come out of the house, the car, the wonderful things that you have. You're unhappy. And I had to find my happiness. I had to find my happiness. So marriage for me happened, but at the same time, my takeaway is if I had my life to live over
Yes.
again, that might not have been one of the things that I would have done.
Did you find international supermodel fame while married? Or did that
No, no,
come?
no, 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 no. My husband died April 1st of
Wow.
1985. And then after he died, I saw the ad in the paper for the Miss Jamaica fashion model pageant. The age limit was 28. I would have turned 29 at the finals, right? And I said, you know what? Who, me? Watch me. I'm going to do this. He died the 1st of April, right? I entered the pageant in May and I won the pageant in June.
What changed for you having won the pageant?
My self-worth, I had a greater feeling of self-worth. I had come to that place where I felt as if I belonged finally, you know. I didn't have all the different things that you're saying about me and whatever. There were people who were saying, boy, we're proud of you, black girl. Yes, man, the bald-head, big mouth girl, you know.
Yes.
And I started to find myself again, you know. It really was a very defining moment for me. But however, when I won the pageant, walked away with all the major prizes that night.
Yes.
Yes, darling.
Yes.
I mean, it was a sweep, you
It was
know.
sweep.
Best technique, best movement, most dynamic, Miss Jamaica Fashion Model 90. There would be no question as to why she won.
Yes.
Because everything was swept away. So following that now, somehow I had this urge. I said, this is not enough for me.
Wow.
I want to be on the international circuit. I want to be on the cover of Essence magazine
You
because,
said this.
yes, wait, no, because when my husband was alive, I had seen a picture in a magazine of Grace Jones, and I had said to him, boy, there's something about this woman that reminds me of myself. And he said, oh, you will never make it international. And I said, okay. That's all I wanted. That was one hell of a seed that I was going to plant and let it blossom into what I wanted it to be. So when I heard, a friend of mine called me and told me that they were down at Jamaica Hotel, and I drove down and I booked a space, booked a room like for 3 days, and I was sitting at the bar. I got all fabulous, and
You just happened to be there.
there, glass, fabulous. And guess what happened? The photographer passed, and he looked at me. And then he went to the bartender and said, who is she? And the guy said, she's Miss Jamaica fashion model. Then he went back inside and came with a stylist, makeup artist, everybody. And they were, all over me. I said, can you believe this? I said, no. is this really happening? Then they asked me to stay for 3 days to actually experience what a shoot was like. I remember calling Mr. Cooper and I said to him, Essence Magazine is here and they would
Yes.
want to meet you. He's like, somehow Mr. Cooper never believed that it was real, right? But he came because he was pretty new in the business,
Right.
but he came. And then when they left and they went back to New York, you know what it is like to go after what it is that you want, right?
Yes.
And they called, no, I kept in touch. Hi, how you doing? Jamaica,
Just
because they
checking
started
in.
calling me
Yes.
Jamaica, just checking in. Listen, what happened was that the day I called now, and I remember Mickey God saying to me, guess what? We need a real chocolate girl like you. I was on a flight the next day. When I called them, they said, Jamaica, where are you? I said, Jamaica is in New York. And they said, come on up. The next day I went and I did the test shoot. Susan Taylor was so agog about me and my look because no, at that point in time, nobody who looked like me. And that was it.
That was
And
the
the
cover.
next thing was the cover.
And it was our first. I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps simply because to be the first is
And I'm not a movie star because it's only movie stars and so the first
correct.
ordinary little country girl.
Jamaican,
Yes.
Caribbean, with no fame to
Right.
her name, and that was now you. And you did you remember the moment when you said that you remember when you said you saw the magazine, you saw the essence, you saw the cover, and you said, one day
Yes.
this would be me. Did
Yes.
you
And you know what was the
realize?
sad thing about it was that he was not even alive to see it. But then maybe he couldn't have managed it, as the case might be. But however, how,
The entire crew is laughing.
but however, it was a moment when I walked into Manhattan and I saw my face on all the newsstands. Girl, can you imagine?
But
I
that wasn't
know.
the only time.
No.
You graced, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You graced the cover of Essence again in 1990,
1990,
which I
yes.
understand had the
Largest
largest
circulation in the
circulation,
history
and
of
it
the
was
magazine.
and it was also acknowledged when Essence was celebrating
The
its 50th
50th,
anniversary. I
yes,
think in
as one of the
2020,
top 10 covers.
one of the top 10.
What I go, "Eh."
I mean, that blows my mind because now we're in a time when there are a lot of supermodels. There are people who are being scouted and found from social media, and those stories are fantastic. But to consider what you did in the 80s and how you made it possible for so many others to
Open the
have that
doors.
opportunity. But we also have heard about how the industry can be very hard if you don't know yourself. And you've always said that you are always this self-assured person, self-aware, knowing who you are and what you want out of life. Navigating that industry now, you're a cover girl. I'm sure there are many more opportunities to do shoots. How did you manage the uglier side of the industry?
Interestingly, I, as a black girl, I was typecasted. So therefore, they need a black girl to do the lips, blah, blah, blah. And I actually, when I worked with Vogue, I worked with Vogue as only a fit model. So I fit the clothes. They take pictures of me in them. Then they have the board up, and then I bring in a white girl who's gonna do exactly. And then I get paid like $100 for that, right? So my time, there wasn't a lot of money, but at the same time, what I found was that black models, that is when we had the Black Girls Coalition
Yes.
in New York because of the fact that it was so much happening. We were just pushed in a little corner, and all the Linda Evangelistas and all these people were the
Correct. Because
girls,
I
were the
grew up
it
knowing
girls,
those girls.
right?
Yes.
Those were the it girls, right? But what I did, I think it came for me because that was my purpose.
Yes.
Because I birthed, whether they like it or not, I birthed the Jamaica modeling industry. Had it not been for Althea Laing, a lot of this would not have been possible. So let's just get real
Let's
and,
just
and
let's
just and
just
just say, yeah,
let's just not get it twisted. Let's
don't
just
get it
not ever
twisted.
forget.
Right.
That's fun. That's a huge burden. It's also a huge responsibility, I
Yes, it
think, when
is.
you are the first and you are the example, you are the reference. As we have, the industry has clearly grown,
Blossomed.
blossomed. We've seen more girls enter. We see different that we see diversity now,
Yeah,
in
a lot.
terms of how much more. I'm sure they still have a lot of work to do. Was there ever a moment while doing your, I used to watch America's Next Top Model, so you learn about going to these
Go
go
sees.
sees, and when you're trying to book the client, the client, and
Yes.
you're trying to dress, and you're trying to get the gig. Was there any particular time that really reminded you of why you are the way you are?
I had an experience with a client. Went to the casting, got the job. Strange enough, the evening my agent calls me and then she says, the person wants to see you again. I said, this time of the evening? It's like 5 o'clock in
Strange.
the evening. Very strange. And then the address she gave me was a different address. Anyway, I went. I realized it was somebody's apartment. When I got there, the gentleman opened the door. The gentleman had on his robe. So I'm like in my mind, okay, he doesn't even understand, say I'm a big woman, you know?
He has
Yeah,
no,
I'm
and he
gonna
has
put on
no
my big
idea.
girl shoes. I'm not the little girl who looks so young, who looks like 18. So I went in with my portfolio and I sat down and then he sat down in the robe still, and stretched his hand across me and trying to get fresh, as my mother would say. And I looked at him and I said, let me tell you, I am from Jamaica.
But, can we
Okay.
just put some blanks in there?
Yes, and if you don't understand, there are certain things that we will do and certain things that we will won't do. So if I don't need to come tomorrow morning for that job, if this has to be a part of what I'm doing, right? He looks at
He
me.
wasn't shocked.
Wait, no, and let me tell you, no, Jamaica, the world. I bought some fabric. I sold some fabric before I left there. Okay. Yards and yards of
Yards of
fabric
cloth.
in my
Yards of
best
cloth.
voice, in my best English. In other words, don't even play that. You see, and when I went when I went there the morning, the gentleman was sitting there, and I could walk in with my head
Integrity.
held high because I did not give up of myself
Were you ever fearful? Like, I know having an
for them to
agent.
blacklist me.
Correct, because, we've always heard about moments when persons have taken a stance and said, you will not have my dignity.
Yeah,
I
and then
stand
they
on
fight
business.
against
And then
them.
all of a sudden they get shut out. They get blacklisted. They can't get jobs. Were you ever afraid that might, or maybe even your agent saying, but how could you be so rebellious and
No, but
disrespectful?
my agent understood me
Good,
from day one.
good.
So she understood me. So when I told her, she was like, okay, then, yes, I understand. I said, I am 30, 31, 32. I'm not a little 18-year-old. I look young because a lot of person knew I thought I was like 18.
Right.
But no, 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 no. And luckily, out of that whole situation, no, I wasn't typecasted really or blacklisted. And I got a movie as a result of the cover. That last cover you're talking about,
Yes.
I got a movie. I was casted in a movie without even doing an audition. Daughters of the Dust. Yeah.
That's when opportunities come to you. You mentioned you would have been 30 or 31. In the industry, we also know that age
Oh yeah,
and
matters.
being young and
And
beautiful and
fresh.
fresh and young is a huge part of the industry. You came onto the scene in your late 20s. You are now in an industry, of course, competing, and we say competing because you are in fact competing for
Yes.
shoots and covers and features. Did you ever have time to worry about being much older and your opportunities versus what those other ladies would have? How?
I learned through the years the importance of understanding my self-worth, who I am, all the gifts that I have, and whatever it is that I can do. So I was never really intimidated in that sense of the word, because I know what I was capable of. I know whatever I put my hand to, if I'm serious about it, it has to happen.
Excellence.
So let me tell you, I give thanks for the parents that I had because they have made me the woman that I am today. Because they have been so supportive. Anybody wants supportive parents? I had supportive
Yes.
parents.
And humility. It's something that you spoke about earlier. We've seen people lose themselves, even persons who had a good handling of who they were, I suppose, but being exposed to new territories, new fame, fortune, money, all kinds of things. People do tend to lose themselves. What advice do you have for, and it doesn't have to necessarily just be the industry, but anywhere someone decides to try for the very first time, what advice do you have for persons in terms of not denying their greatness, which is something you don't do, but being grounded and humble enough to move through the world, being grateful, but not denying your greatness?
My father was one who did gems, memory
Yes,
gems.
yes.
And one thing that stood out in my mind, he says that we need to remember the people that we pass on the way up because we might have to meet them coming
Coming down.
down. Okay? And daddy reiterated that with us, you know. So therefore, the whole thing of going, doing all that I did, it was for me, it was my own intrinsic motivation. And the fact is, it gave me all that, what did I call it? I became so, oh, it took me to a place where I totally understood my purpose, why I was here, the people who I knew before,
Yes.
growing up in Black River, running up and down, were the people who meant something to me. So, and you see all these other people, you see everybody else, wanting to be a part of you when you are there. But
Yes.
should your fortunes change tomorrow, you don't
Gone.
see them, they're gone. So I understood also the value of friendships, the
Yes.
important friendships in the
The
particular
healthy
healthy relation
relationships.
in that moment that will take you through. These are the people who, when you hit rock bottom, if you feel like it, they are the ones who are going to be there for you.
When did you know it was time to transition?
Come
When did you know? When, because you've spoken about defining moments, and defining moments help us to transition, to know when to transition, to know why we're transitioning, and to know what we are transitioning to.
Cool. Boy, no, no, no. It's honestly, you really have excellent interview skills
Thank
because
you.
I don't wrap my head for anything. But I'm going to have to wrap my head now.
Thank you.
Um, there is something inside of you, though, which tells you that you have done enough in that place and you need to move on to something else. Because you know what people don't understand? That life is about transitioning,
Seasons,
redirecting,
yes,
taking
ma'am.
yourself, the seasons. And we must live a fulfilled life at the end of it all. So when I look back at 68 and I'm looking back in the years ago, I have done so many things. I've been a teacher, I've been an insurance executive,
Yes.
and all of them I do well at. I was in PR, I worked in the hotel industry. I tutor online because I refuse not to have my children to teach.
Yes.
So I tutor online now also. But I knew when to, okay, fine, I've done this, I've done life insurance, I have done that, I'm moving. But life insurance and education was before even modeling. But somehow in your heart, I don't know if you understand, you know that moment when it's time to move to the next level.
The reason why I'm hearing you speak, and there's a reason why I also asked the question, is because I know what that is. And a lot of the times people don't necessarily understand it because, as far as they're concerned, if you're at that pinnacle and it's just good there, why? People believe sometimes you have to transition because you've been asked to leave. You transition because you've been pushed out. People believe sometimes to transition, something has to happen in order for you to do that. And last year, Digital Rising Stars, I walked away. And I
And I
said,
cried away. I said, where is she going? I
it's,
love her. I love to
it's,
turn on my TV and see her with her
oh,
fabulous outfits and
thank
she just
you.
carrying on and bubbly.
Thank you. It's
But
been
I
a
knew,
journey.
hello, I said to my friend, somehow I think Terry has had enough and there is something else that she wants to do.
Yeah.
So I released you.
Thank
I
you.
released you into your abundance.
Thank,
I said,
I
okay,
received
fine.
that. I thank you, and I've spoken to many people who've said the same thing, like why? And I told them, I've done 12 years, and they said, yeah, we know, but, and I said, yeah, I said, but I think I've given it my all.
You did.
I think I've done my best, and
You
I've
did.
made it my own, and I have brought all of me. There's not one Sunday that I went up there and kind of went, all right, let me just give it 80. I think I always gave 150%. And I said, I think now it's time that I can transition and I can start and explore and experiment in new areas, and I can pass the baton to someone else so that that person can know what it is like to own this space, carve out your space, and to put your own stamp on it.
And
And
I
people
want people
still
to
don't understand.
no, and I want people to understand that what it is that is happening to you in terms of the growth, in terms of oh, Miss Lady goes off to London, then I see her in New York City, and she just galong. So you understand me? But they need to understand, Terry, that you are open to
Yeah.
your abundance.
Huh.
And what is also important is that you are spiritually grounded. So
Yes.
all of you who see Terri-Karelle and want say, oh, she get this and she get that, you are blessed. And it's because
Thank
you
you.
have given so much and God sees that heart that you have and he has opened all these doors which no man can shut. So this for me, this is an awesome moment, just sitting here with you like a mother and
Thank you.
sharing with you what it is that is coming from my heart, what it is the Lord is trying to say,
Thank you.
because you are here for a purpose. And you can be imitated, but you can never be duplicated
Thank you.
because you're good like that. All right? Good like that.
Thank you. Oh my good. I was not even expecting all of that. Thank you. I am moved, and I think what moves me is when people can understand that and they can encourage it. I think my life has been redirected
The
all over the
globe.
world, and I've allowed God to have his way.
I know that.
I believe in his divine order. And sometimes people ask me, well, what you planning in the next 5 years? And I said, I cannot tell you that. It all depends on where he decides to place me, and wherever he places me, I know that he has already equipped me to now blossom into whatever I'm supposed to blossom into. And so I appreciate it. And so while you were speaking about being fulfilled, moving on to the other spaces, I completely understood in my spirit what that meant. And I appreciate that. And I receive what you just said to me.
Interestingly, what happens to us, Terry, is that living aimlessly, living for the moment is not what living is about. Right? We have to sit back. Listen to me. I went through so many. Listen, the hurdles, the challenge. You said, when is the book coming out? The book is almost coming out
Correct.
now
And I haven't
because
gotten
it's
into
time.
what you've just launched as well. Yes.
Right, but the timing is so important, and I am at a place now where every challenge, every hurdle made me
Yes.
the woman that I am today. So
Yes.
all of you women that say, Lord, I'm here say this, I'm here say that, context matters.
Context
Okay,
matters, baby.
context matters.
Baby.
So let's just move right along. And what we need to do as a people and as women and as a country, we need to embrace the good in people
Yes.
rather than nitpicking to find all of the dirt on someone
Correct.
and tear them
Down.
down, right? But lift, build up. I have some sisters, you know. You see Janet Silvera?
Yes.
You see Janet Fagan? There's a friend of mine named Verika. Let me tell you, I have some friends there, girl, who are my life, my strength. And
They
I thank
rally.
God. I thank God for them. I really do.
You are 68 fabulous. You've already made it known that there is more. there is more to do, there is more to feel, there's more purpose, there's more calling, there's more impact that needs to be made. And you transitioned. And the color that I'm wearing on my lips,
Yes, that's fabulous.
icon beauty.
Icon.
Please tell us about
All
it,
right, let me
because
tell you how
I
that
want
happened.
people to also understand that there is no age limit
No, no, no.
on exploring what you can do.
I remembered that when I was in the modeling industry, it's all about my lips, my lips, my
Yes.
lips, my lips. At 68, I see all these cosmetics, people popping up all over the place. And I said, why not me? Girl, I'm in there too. I'm
I
going to
was
get
that
into this
girl.
game. Yeah, I was a it girl. Let's do this, you know. And let me start with lips, the
Yes.
colors. So I got it all sorted out, and then I started very small, really small. I'm still small, but I see where it's going to happen. It's going to
Yes.
be big because they have to have the vision, right?
Yes.
And I started with just my friends and going to the pharmacy in Black River. Went to the pharmacy in Black River pharmacy. When I went back 2 weeks ago, and the Sharon said to me, Althea, people come in here, you know, and they're asking for the Althea Laing lipstick, you know, the
Yes.
one that Althea Laing has. And I said, well, that's good. We restart there. And now I think I'm ready to just,
Expand.
yeah,
Take the world by
take the world
storm.
by storm.
Was there, is there fear as we transition into new spaces? This is merchandising, this is retailing, this is branding, this is selling. This is a lot of things. And a lot of the time it's outside of really what we've been doing for a while. Any fear?
No, because guess what? I was one of the best life insurance agents when I worked with Alica. So
Yes.
selling is
Done.
all of
Tick.
that, right? In terms of product knowledge, I have product knowledge also, right? In terms of being able to connect with people, I think I have been blessed with that
Yes.
also. So it's just merging everything
All the
now.
things you've
Yes,
done.
yes, yes, yes.
Isn't
To
God
take
good? Isn't it amazing
that
how
is
every piece
why
of you,
falls together. And this is why on this last part of my life is me and God. It's him me hugging up now.
yes,
He's my man. When I turn over in the bed, I said, thank you, Jesus. I got it. You understand me? He is everything that I need at this
yes,
moment in my life.
yes,
Because you know what? You see, when you have tried other things and it don't work, you must know what does not work for you. I would not have 3 marriages. One is enough, and I learned from that.
yes,
And relationship, Lord, you don't have no man out here, really don't have no man, and look how you look and whatever. I said, yes, because it's my choice.
yes,
It's my choice because guess what? We need to understand that the people who we bring into our space might not necessarily bring positive energy into our space. And we need to understand. I hear the young people with a new phrase that speaks to how many bodies or whatever.
the body count,
The body
yeah.
count. Okay, thank you for putting. And the body count is another thing I don't want to have. I've also said to persons, I cannot afford to put on extra mileage on my sexual speedometer.
Done. Oh, the crew is in shambles. Tony, my sign language interpreter, is in shambles. No. Oh, I agree.
Not true. So argument done, right? For the rest of my life, I'll enjoy it. If you can come and you can add something to my life, that's fine.
If you can't,
If you can't, just
filter
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Of all the things that you have done, all of your experiences, the good, the bad, the in between, what is one that you consider to be your priceless moment or a priceless
My
moment?
priceless moment was the birth of my granddaughter, Sydney.
Really? Why?
I never had any daughters. So when Sydney came, she just filled that part of me
Yes.
that I can't even express it. She is my friend. We
Yes.
are very close. She's 23 now. She looks like a model too. She's 6'2", really, really, yeah, gorgeous. She is actually at the pop-up shop running the business until I get
Right, and
back.
that is Icon Beauty, because I
Right.
don't know if you actually called the name of your brand, your
Yes, it's
lipstick, Icon
Icon.
Beauty.
No, I'm going to learn some branding right
Yes,
here.
please.
Yeah, Icon Beauty, and that we're having a pop-up at Heather Lane as we speak. But I am really at a place in my life now, Terry, where I feel good
You
about life.
you look good, you sound good. I know everyone in the studio here is enjoying your conversation just because of how engaged they are. The final question I have for you is redirection. You mentioned it a couple of times as you were speaking. You yourself have spoken about, knowing what fits, what doesn't fit, working out, transitioning. How would you define redirection?
Ooh, redirection is the having the ability to know what works for you, when it works for you, and when it is time to transition.
That is redirection.
Yeah, for me. Because I knew when it was time to when I look at everything, I knew, listen to me, when you are in tune with your spiritual self, you know what I'm talking about. That's the moment. And he said, okay, I've had enough of that. I need to move on to this. I will do that also. Let me see how it works. But my book has been sitting there since 20, where are we, 2024?
Yes.
About 2001, when I look at the manuscript,
And I'm waiting.
2001.
And we are waiting.
Yes, yes,
But we're
yes.
going to give you
And
that
I
time.
found a photographer here today who is going to be doing my cover. Okay, let's get that going.
Oh, I love all of these deals going on. And I see the entire crew. The entire crew is
And
like,
I found wait no, and I found your makeup artist too. So I want this energy around me because
yeah,
it will
they're
take my
amazing.
book to the next level.
They
You
are
have to
amazing.
have the people, the right people.
Thank
Right, the
you.
right mix. Thank you all for having me.
Oh, no.
Terry, I love
I
you.
love you too. It's
This
the
was
fact that Althea
wonderful.
Laing is closing my show. I don't even understand this. I don't even understand this. Let me tell you, it is an honor. I think what I want to be able to do is to use my platform to share stories that a lot of generations, even the younger ones, may not know exists. And it is important for us to sit at the feet, I think, of people who've come before us, who've seen things, who've done things, because I think you guys offer us a great navigating system that allows us to now better maneuver for ourselves. And I believe that you've always been that example of, that Jamaican woman who knows who she is, what she's about, where she's going. She's not afraid to make mistakes. In fact, she laughs at mistakes and she reinvents herself, and she does it unapologetically. And I think because of that, you've always been someone who I've admired. And it is indeed an honor to have you, the Althea Laing, in the redirection seat today. I appreciate it. And I can't wait to read your book whenever it becomes available.
Yes, yes, yes. Once it becomes available, who will I have at the launch? Flitting on stage. Okay. I will. I hope I can afford her. You think I can?
So basically, Althea is taking the entire commercial concepts team. O'Neill, my makeup artist. I
Everybody.
know Tony is like, well, I'm just here to sign, but Tony
Tony
is
will
like, I need
sign.
to be there
She'll
as
be
well.
there, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, my TK tribe, I certainly hope that you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. Normally, I say as much as I have, but I'm speaking on behalf of the entire crew when I say we absolutely, we absolutely enjoyed this. Please go ahead, like, share,
I
subscribe.
don't have a
Let us
contact.
know the reviews. Oh, I'm going to definitely
Yeah.
get to that. Let us know the reviews and the comments. And if you're going to share, please use the hashtag redirection. And in case you want to meet the fabulous Althea Laing, corporate image
Corporate
consultant.
image,
Oh,
right?
yes, we corporate image consultant. Maybe it is Icon Beauty. Maybe it is that you want to start to distribute Icon Beauty. Maybe you are an editor or a publisher and you want to get this book out. How do we find you?
Oh, I have no problem giving you my number. On Instagram, I'm Althea _Laing. Althea Laing Image 2019 at gmail.com, and then 876-521-0405. Particularly for corporate, I have some news, but I can only tell you off camera. It is major.
Okay,
So,
and my lips will be sealed.
God
so
is
we will
doing
find
a
out.
new thing. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It is such a pleasure to see you. I hope you really liked today's episode. Certainly, it's good to be back. It's good to start off season 3 with such a fantastic guest. This is the one and only Althea Laing. Thank you to our partners, MasterCard, Heineken 00, Toyota Jamaica, Commercial Concepts, Spaces Jamaica, FHC Credit Union, Beauty Brands by MDS, Go Shore Couriers, and Brescia.